Have you ever paused to ask yourself what happens when the very DNA of a legendary team begins to evolve right before your eyes? Could the blueprint that brought Steve Kerr's Warriors back-to-back championships be quietly giving way to an entirely new era, one that even the most die-hard fans can't yet fully grasp? What if the seismic shifts we're sensing beneath the surface point not just to roster tweaks, but to a transformation so profound it could rewrite the Warriors' destiny and maybe, just maybe, even shock the entire NBA landscape? Welcome, true believers, to Warriors News Fan Report, your frontline source for everything Dub Nation. Smash that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell so you never miss a second of this saga unfolding. Because what we're diving into today isn't just speculation. It's a pulse check on the Warriors' future, teetering on the edge of reinvention. Imagine a scenario quietly blossoming in the Warriors' war room, a move so out of the box it hints at a major pivot from the small ball domination we've known for years. Could Golden State be preparing to inject fresh versatility and length into their lineup by targeting an intriguing young big man nearly 2 decades younger than their championship core? Some insiders whisper that the Dubs are inching toward acquiring a 6'11" forward hailing from overseas, a player whose skill set defies conventional big man stereotypes with his mobility, shooting touch, and playmaking flair. Is it possible that this would be the key to unlocking yet another chapter of championship contention, seamlessly blending the old guard with a new, lengthier dimension? Now, consider the stats this potential acquisition brings to the table. An impressive 12.5 points per game, 6.4 boards, nearly 3 assists, and a smooth 36.8% shooter from 3, numbers that conjure visions of a stretch 5. With the defensive switchability that Draymond Green so famously mastered years ago. But unlike the ageless Dre, this forward is just 24, dripping with untapped upside, athleticism, and a basketball IQ that has quietly blossomed alongside Memphis' gritty Grizzlies. Could his arrival represent the Warriors' way of future-proofing their roster against the twin challenges of age and injury? In a league where three-point shooting and defensive versatility reign supreme, imagine how this kind of player would plug perfectly into a rotation alongside the likes of Stephen Curry, whose staggering 40.5% accuracy from deep continues to confound defenders, and Klay Thompson, whose midseason surges keep Dub Nation breathless. It's not just about stats. Think about the Warrior way of philosophy that historically idolizes pace, space, and shared sacrifice. But what if there's a hidden narrative unfolding here? Could the Warriors be deliberately layering their collaborative synergy with length and size, seeking to build an ironclad fortress around Curry's brilliance? Some whispers suggest that front office strategists are all ears to a multi-front trade, one involving not just draft picks, but also young role players who have shown flashes of promise, but don't yet fit Kerr's precise vision. Could this really be the masterstroke that gives Golden State the best of both worlds, keeping its core intact while injecting a dynamic, direction-changing presence in the front court? Social media is already abuzz with rumors swirling about this mysterious power forward. On Twitter, die-hard fans speculate whether this addition could revive echoes of the Run TMC era. 3 versatile scorers rediscovering their magic with an added dimension in the paint, but with a modern splash twist that screams 2024. Others conjure memories of the Splash Brothers' ascendancy, pondering if this young forward's sharpshooting from deep might be the missing puzzle piece to finally push the Warriors past their recent playoff frustrations. Even NBA insiders, sources close to Golden State's front office, have reportedly hinted at an unseen aggression in their offseason plans, with one anonymous executive teasing they're not just chasing shooters anymore, they're hunting for a new paradigm. Meanwhile, as the Warriors potentially prepare to pull the trigger, rival teams are watching closely. The buzz on forums and podcasts isn't just about the player's stats, but his intangible promise, the defensive versatility that could plug holes against rising super teams pounding inside. Imagine Aldama challenging Yao Moran's drives and Jaren Jackson Jr.'s sharpshooting with blurred defensive rotations that force opponents to rethink their game plans. Could this young Spaniard's intellectual approach to basketball compatibility be exactly what the Warriors need to fend off the league's next wave of challengers? But it also raises deeper questions. What will happen to the current supporting casts? How will bringing in such a unique big man reshape this season's starting 5? Will Draymond Green slide even further into a specific rim protection and playmaking hybrid role? Can Jonathan Kuminga or Moses Moody carve out roles complementary enough for this new front court chemistry? And of course, what will the fans say when the Warriors roll out a front court that looks more like a European championship contender than any Golden State lineup we've seen in recent years? Dub Nation is already divided. Some embrace the excitement, flooding social feeds with thoughts like, if they can get this guy, the Warriors will be unstoppable. He's exactly what we need to bridge the gap between shooting and size. Others are more cautious, wary of losing the Warriors' trademark pace and fluid ball movement, worrying that an unproven forward might slow down the offense or disrupt the delicate balance built by Kerr's genius coaching. Yet, there's an undeniable thrill in the air, as if the very identity of this Warriors squad might be on the brink of something game-changing, something potentially transcendent. But what do you think about all of this? Is Golden State's bold gamble on youth and link the final piece to their championship puzzle, or a high-risk experiment that could backfire spectacularly? Personally, as a ride-or-die member of Dub Nation, I believe this move could represent the calm before the storm of subtle but seismic shift, signaling that the Warriors are not merely fighting to stay relevant, they're quietly reconstructing the blueprint to dominate the NBA once again. I can't wait to read your thoughts in the comments below. If you're fired up and riding this intoxicating wave with me, slam that like button, subscribe to Warriors News Fan Report, and crank up your notifications, because at Chase Center, every tick of the clock counts and you do not want to miss how this electrifying saga unfolds. Now, let's plunge headfirst into the maelstrom of possibilities swirling around Golden State's roster and the seismic shockwaves one bold move could send through the entire Western Conference. Picture it, Steph Curry, the Moses of modern basketball, parting seas of defenders with his blinding shot and wizardry, now shoulder to shoulder with a new all-star level talent, who's not just a compliment, but a potential co-star stretch forward, with length, agility, and court vision that mirrors, maybe even transcends, the enigmatic versatility that made Draymond Green a defensive god in the Golden State pantheon. This isn't just a roster addition, it's a tectonic shift in the Warriors' power dynamic. Think back to Curry's historic shooting splits, 40.8% from deep over his career, a jaw-dropping effective field goal percentage above 60% in peak seasons, and an insatiable hunger that has carried the Dubs to 5 titles in 8 years. Now, dangling this new frontcourt cog into the equation forces us all to reconsider the chemistry inside that cavernous Chase Center. Could this young forward's knack for playmaking, he averaged nearly 3 assists a game last season, not only ease the offensive burden on Curry, but ignite new streams of offensive flow for the budding trio of Kuminga, Podziemski, and Moody? These young guns have flashed brilliance in snippets: Podziemski's sharpshooting from beyond the arc, Kuminga's explosive athleticism, and Moody's defensive potential, but minutes are precious, and the lineup puzzle suddenly demands a masterstroke to keep the synergy humming without stifling growth. Meanwhile, Draymond Green's role edges toward an even more nuanced hybrid of rim protector, defensive anchor, and playmaker. Imagine him directing traffic, but with more help up front to guard against the rising tide of powerful big men flexing. In the West, from Denver's Jokic, the point center magician, to Phoenix's Adri Eaton's relentless physicality, this potential new acquisition could represent the perfect foil to hold down the paint and switch on defense, freeing Draymond to engage in critical playmaking duties without shouldering the entire defensive burden. But it's not just internal chess moves. This acquisition threatens to shift the entire Western Conference's power equilibrium. Look at the landscape. The Suns have doubled down on size and shooting. Denver's Nuggets churn with depth and the MVP-caliber maestro Nikola Jokic, and the Lakers' mix of LeBron's leadership and a retooled core is hunting for one last dance. What if Golden State's new frontcourt missile intercepts this trajectory, throwing a wrench into contender expectations? Analysts like Adrian Wojnarowski and Shams Charania have already buzzed about the new identity Warriors are crafting, one that survives Curry's natural aging arc and embraces a blend of youthful athleticism with championship mettle. And Andre Iguodala, the locker room sage, has reportedly hinted in recent conversations that this next step might look different, but it's just as fierce. Meanwhile, the pulse of Dub Nation throbs from Telegraph Avenue to every corner of the Bay. The barroom talk, the instant reaction videos, the scintillating three-pointers banging off the Bay Bridge. These vibrations tell us one thing: this evolution is real, and it has fans split down the middle. The purists recoil at a departure from the pure, relentless pace and space offense Kerr engineered. The visionaries see a blueprint for a modern powerhouse, one blending mid-range touch, are eye protection and unselfish ball movement with a fearless three-point barrage. Now, simmer on the ripple effects this move could have on the young cores. Development. Kuminga and Moody, each with tantalizing upside, might face new competition for minutes, but also gain a veteran's presence and mentorship from a player steeped in European pro experience. Known for basketball IQ and adaptability, Podziemski, basking in the shadows of Curry, could see his role more from spot-up shooter to a more aggressive playmaker, expanding his arsenal and confidence on both ends. The intrigue escalates when you consider Wiggins' recent two-way acrobatics, a near 40% shooter from deep who's locked in defensively and continues to evolve. This new piece could relieve some of Wiggins' load and allow him to focus sharply on elite lockdown defense and transition buckets that have been critical in close playoff games. The Warriors' recent playoff stumbles, the bruising physical battles with the Lakers, the grueling fight with the Mavericks underline the urgency for a dynamic interior presence who blends size, skill, and pace for both ends of the floor. Contrast that with the flourishing small ball five of yesteryear, which dominated but occasionally struggled against juggernauts in the paint. The question is not whether this unproven stretch four is ready to contribute immediately. His playoff pedigree overseas and steady improvements hint yes, but how quickly he can assimilate into Kerr's symphony, where movement without the ball, defensive rotations, and stamina threshold define stars. And of course, consider the message Golden State sends to the league by embracing this shift. It's a declaration. They're not just clinging to past glories, but proactively building the next dynasty pillar. So, will the newly imagined Warriors lineup recalibrate the power balance, going head-to-head with Western rivals who are evolving just as rapidly? Will we witness the rebirth of Dub Nation supremacy, crowned by a lineup that's both versatile and relentless, marrying Curry's sublime shooting genius with defensive tenacity and a fresh, youthful dynamism? Or will this bold gamble disrupt the delicate balance, leading to growing pains and internecine friction on a team hungry to reclaim the throne? As the clock winds down toward the upcoming trade deadline and free agency frenzy, the stakes climb. Every decision, every whispered rumor in the front office leaks like adrenaline into the veins of fans who remember the We Believe era and have held on to hopes through heartbreak and glory alike. This isn't just about one player, it's a chess game where the pieces are living legends and emerging talents, all striving to etch another storied chapter on the franchise's glowing tapestry. So, here's the question burning hotter than a Curry step-back three in crunch time. Will this audacious, boundary-pushing gambit be remembered as the moment the Chase Center roared back not just to competitiveness but dominion? Personally, as a lifelong, ride-or-die member of Dub Nation, I believe this evolution isn't just necessary. It's inspired a subtle revolution brewing beneath the surface, poised to redefine Golden State basketball on a grand, unstoppable scale. The perfect storm is gathering, and if the front office pulls this trigger just right, we could witness the genesis of a new Warriors dynasty, one that dances on the edge of innovation and tradition, ready to electrify the league all over again. So if you feel that crackling electricity in the air, hit that like button, pour your heart into the comments below, and lock in tight with Warriors News Fan Report, because this story is only just heating up, and your front row seat to history is guaranteed right here in blue and gold.